Here's a question from Tracy Ferguson's second grade class. This question is from Emmy. What is your favorite part of the book? Referring to After the Fall. So I should just go into detail that the book is a metaphor about my wife overcoming anxiety and depression. When we had our first child, she was having a lot of anxiety and depression afterwards. And, it wasn't until maybe 2 or 3 years later that we realized that she was going through postpartum depression. And, she went to a doctor. She got mental treatment for it. And she, eventually got into a much better place. But a lot of it was her overcoming this anxiety that she's had most of her life. And I found it to be very inspirational. And so you take a story like After the Fall, and you relate to that in a way where you think that, there are ways that kids can relate to Humpty's, plight in a way, such as like maybe you're someone who failed at a first attempt at something, or maybe you fell off a bike. But there are things that create anxieties in certain people, and then as a result, you live your life in a way to avoid those triggers. So in After the Fall, there are things that you notice throughout the story that have to do with falling. So when he's in the grocery store, he doesn't climb the ladder to get his favorite cereals because he might fall. He doesn't climb up to his bunk bed because there's a ladder and he might fall. One of my favorite parts of the book is actually the last few parts of the book where he faces his fears of climbing the wall. And what I really liked about it was the just a little tiny things. Breaking it down, showing fear without actually saying he's afraid. One of my favorite spreads is the shaking hand trying to grab the next rung of the ladder. There's also like little subtle elements that reflect his mental state. So if you look at the wall, he falls in the summer. So there's a lot of green leaves on the wall, but then as you can see, it reflects in his mood. As he's getting sadder and sadder, when fall comes in, the leaves are falling off of the wall. When winter comes, like the entire wall is dead, the entire vine is dead. There's no color. It's just like very, desaturated and everything like that. But when he has his rebirth, when he finally decides to face the wall, it's spring again. So, the colors are very warm. The leaves have grown back up on the vines of the wall and so forth. There's also little Easter eggs in the book that a lot of people aren't aware of. A few are, for example, there's a spread where Humpty Dumpty's climbing the ladder, and there's a sign in the background that's the number 12. And that is because when I made the book, my wife and I were married for 12 years. The book is dedicated to my wife, Leah, so the book is a love letter to her. And then other things, in the last spread, when you see the bird flying off, in between the wings, you'll see a building with the word Tager on it. And Tager is actually my wife's maiden last name. Her name was Leah Tager. Now she is Leah Tager, Leah Santat now. And then another little detail that I like that a lot of people miss this. There's a spread where he's walking by the wall, but what you subtly hint at is that he's walking along the shadow. He's walking along the shadow of the wall, so that the shadow of himself is projected on top of the wall. Like that's the best he can get into getting back on top of the wall, is he uses his shadow to cast it on top of the wall. And that was actually one of the original cover ideas that I had. But the ending, having him hatch from an egg, that hands down is probably, my on a personal level, I think it's the best writing that I've done, and you know, it wouldn't have been possible without the help of my editor. And I remember we were on the phone. A lot of times when my editor and I work, we like to talk out these ideas. And in this particular case, my editor just out of the blue says, "What do you think's inside Humpty Dumpty?" And I said, "Oh, like, would it be weird if there was a bird inside him?" And she said, "Yeah, what if he hatched?" And I said, "That would be terrifying, right? Like, wouldn't that be terrifying if Humpty Dumpty is just going about his business and, you know, suddenly a bird just bursts out of his chest?" And she says, "No, what if he changes? What if he changes to something bigger? Like, he moves on to his next step in life because he overcame this obstacle that's been holding him down." And that really inspired me to say, okay, well, let's try to figure out a way where he hatches and becomes something new and better and moves on to other things. And so just the buildup of Humpty, you know, spreading his wings, becoming a bird, flying off, that, you know, undoubtedly is my favorite part of the book. So much so, you know, my wife has been very touched by the fact that the book is dedicated to her and it's about her overcoming anxiety. She got a tattoo of a bird feather on her back, and you know, I have a bird feather tattoo here on my arm. So as a result, you know, now we have to be married together for the rest of our lives. That's just how it works.